Welcome to NBTV and the Village Green, our show on the environment. I'm Nancy Gardner, your host. And today we have a very delicious show, meaning delicious in the sense of tasty. We're going to be at where we are, Sherman Gardens, and their restaurant, which is just a marvel of local source. It's called Garden to Table. And we're going to find out how the garden itself, Sherman Gardens, helps us support it, and how local farmers, we don't think of very many local farmers anymore, how they are part of this as well. So come along and we'll have a delicious taste of a restaurant. All right, I'm here at Sherman Gardens, the beautiful Sherman Gardens, which is always such a pleasure to come. But this is a special time because I'm here with Executive Chef Jessica Roy, and you have the restaurant that's here in the garden. And it's D, or is it, do you use the whole address or just the D for Dahlia?
608 Dahlia is our name and address.
All right, so, and you can come in both entrances, I guess?
Yeah, there's a front and back entrance, and you can enter and come walk the gardens and see the beautiful sweeping views and enjoy a beautiful lunch.
Particularly a beautiful lunch. So there's been a restaurant here for a long time.
Yes.
But you have been since July, you said.
Correct, of last year.
All right, and what has attracted me most was your philosophy.
Yes.
So tell us a little about your philosophy in terms of a restaurant and how you supply it and that sort of thing.
So my whole philosophy, I'm all about seasonality. And because
okay, well, let's stop right there before we go any farther, because I think that's something people don't think about. I mean, we are so used today to have tomatoes year-round. Of course, they may taste like nothing, but they don't come locally. I mean, as a gardener, I know that my tomatoes grow at a certain season. So do you adapt your menus to that?
I absolutely do. And one of the most beautiful things about being a chef here in California is we do have longer growing seasons. So I can have access to a wider variety of produce. So I can get tomatoes a little earlier and a little later in the season. So the seasons are a little bit longer, but my menus absolutely are going to be a reflection of the season for two reasons. Well, many reasons. First, I love, again, seasonality and celebrating the time of the year. So I like people to come and really feel the season that they're in.
I never even thought of it from that point of view. That's interesting, okay.
Right, and I love maximum flavor. So I just have found over my years of being a chef that really accessing ingredients from the local farmers markets and from the farms around us, things are picked a lot closer to when you use them and just the flavors there. And that's what we're in the business of, at least for me, is flavor.
Oh, that's unique, a restaurant
right, maximum flavor. So I just find the fresher the better, and the more localized it is, the better things taste. And I also just love supporting the farms that are around us. I find it very important.
Okay, well, so I think that's an interesting part, because when I think of, I grew up here and it was all produce. There was just little towns and lots of produce.
Right.
Now we have lots of towns and lots of buildings and not a lot. So where do you get your stuff? I mean, obviously, if you're trying to be as local as possible, but local, what does that mean today?
Right, so for me, local, first of all, means really building relationships with the people around me, the farmers, the people that can really give us the most beautiful ingredients. So I'm just finding that building relationships, I would say, is how I find these farmers markets or these different farmers. I work with Manicero Farms in Irvine. So I know them personally, and they grow the most beautiful produce. They're all about seasonality as well, so if you haven't been, definitely check it out. They give me lots of beautiful things that populate our menus. I also work with another purveyor that goes to the farmers market in Gardner Brothers every week, and they send me a farmers market report, all the farms around us, and I pick the ingredients that I want to feature on my menus.
Well, does it work? I mean, do you ever go to a farmer and say, gee, have you thought of growing something or else?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I currently, in the talks with Manicero about that. I also met the farmer Eric Cutter, who is the farmer of the food lab at the Irvine Grape Park. So we're in the talks also about really doing some cool things. So more to come on that, but he has given us a really exclusive inside look and access to some beautiful things that they're doing there that I'm very excited about.
So, I mean, that's really local when you're talking Irvine.
Yes. Yes.
And boy, talk about, so you're shipping, I mean, you have less pollution and all that sort of thing. How far off do you go? I mean, obviously you can't get everything from just maybe Irvine farms and things.
Well, I also pick all of the beautiful herbs and flowers right here at Sherman Gardens.
Okay, well that's
for the restaurant.
So have you said, gee, can you grow all this, or are they already growing it? Or?
Absolutely. So I work closely with the horticulture staff here, and we're always in the talks about what we're gonna. I love the central garden, first off, because it's really the sweeping view that all of our customers and guests see. So I really try and play off our central garden here as far as theme and color. And I like the garden to really flow into the restaurant, hence my garden to table perspective. And we talk about what we want to grow, and I do ask for specific colors and specific ingredients. So I'm very excited to develop that further with them as well.
So do most of your herbs then come from here?
All the herbs and flowers come from the garden.
So that's amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's really the whole thing on garden to table, is it really just flows onto the plates, and you just see people are like, wow, the garden's on my plate. So it's visually beautiful and also super delicious.
Well, the fresh aspect of it. I mean, if you're getting a tomato that's come up from Mexico, I mean, there's just a time delay there, no matter how you do it,
right?
As compared to getting a tomato from Irvine. So.
And I can't do a tomato any other way. That's why, you're not going to see a tomato on my menu unless it tastes delicious. However, I have noticed in my studies that they do grow year-round in California. So I just look for the most tasty ones I can find. But you can't beat a tomato in summer. Just wait for my summer gazpacho and my summer Bloody Mary, because I make all my own bases and everything using the heirloom tomatoes. It's going to be spectacular. And the tomatoes, just mind you, from Manicero Farms, unbelievable.
Well, there's nothing like
amazing.
I mean, there's some things that, as I say, as a gardener, a cucumber from my garden is, nice.
Yeah.
But I don't really notice it so much but a good tomato or a peach just picked off a tree or something. I mean,
you cannot beat it. And one of my favorite things is going and harvesting those things fresh and then serving it right away, and they're still warm from the beautiful California sun. It's my favorite.
So I sort of we're usually just focusing on the very environmental aspects, but what you said about the seasonality intrigues me. So say, and the fact that you're looking at thinking in terms of colors as well as taste. So what would be a typical fall?
Ooh,
dish,
typical fall. I love in fall. Oh, I had so much fun this season. I really look for the ingredients that celebrate fall. So toasted farro, barley, braised dishes. I rolled out my signature small batch biscuits this fall that have been an absolute sensation. So when people are sitting out here, I wanted people to feel the season, so creating dishes that are warm and cozy, not to mention colors, decorating the plates with beautiful squashes and leaves, micro leaves that I source from Fresh Origins down in San Diego, working with them to really give us the most beautiful touches that I can put on the plate too. And Delicata Squash I just loved this season because the way we prepared it, it looked like a flower, the inside. So I put that on the plate and people are just like, whoa, what is that? So just having fun with it, and giving people something that's just so beautiful and exciting, and then they taste it. and they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. So those warm dishes, those braised dishes, the flavors, the squashes, the warming spices, all of those things those are all of the things I think about when I approach a season is what are the flavors of that season and how can I showcase them to give people something exciting to come to and something they're going to remember.
It's too bad you're not enthusiastic about what you do.
Not so much, you know.
So let's talk about organic. How much of your produce is organic, and is it hard to find organic?
No, a good amount of our produce is organic. I do source organic whenever I can. A lot of the farms do use organic farming practices, not everything, but I just find something that's exceptionally grown, treated with a lot of care. All of our vegetables are washed and prepared very carefully, and people just absolutely love them, and especially the little mini ones I put all over the plates. People have a lot of fun with it. So,
all right. So obviously you're concerned. I mean, you're trying to think green. So what other things do you do in your restaurant that you try to promote that sort of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's many things that we do here in the restaurant. The first thing I like to start with is the conservation of water. So we're conscious just of our water usage in general. So, you know, the way we defrost things, or if we're, you know, rinsing things, we're just conserving water. Any water left over at the end of the day we'll use and water our garden here, which is cool. So no water really goes to waste, which is a big push of mine because it's so scarce here in California. So definitely water. I'm really moving away from all single-use plastics.
And I know that's a huge thing.
Yeah. So we're really close to being completely, I would say, single-use plastic free. I invest all of my containers I use for takeout or to go are all environmentally friendly, compostable, recyclable. There's no plastics that are used for any of that, recyclable bags. But also really watching portion sizes and making sure people kind of aren't even using too much of those because those do require energy to produce as well. All of our straws are all agave straws, which are really neat. So all environmentally.
Do they give a sugary taste?
No, they don't. So those are all compostable as well. We do recycle all of our green waste, and all of our bottles and cans all get recycled as well. So
now your green waste, does that get composted for here or just?
We are working on our compost program. So I would say yes, they are going to be composted. We're currently in the talks with the garden on how we can do that, to not just compost them in general, but to really be using that soil then to go back into the garden, into our culinary garden. So those are all part of our first year as a restaurant goals. So we're very, very excited about that. We're gonna have a worm bin too. So we're gonna we're gonna have a live worm bin as well. That's just gonna again help fuel the garden. And it's really exciting.
Well, it is. I mean, it's always nice to have good food and have a good conscience after you've eaten it.
Absolutely. It's something that's very important for me. And as a restaurant owner and operator, I really feel that we need to all do our part. If we all do our part, I think we're just going to all move in the right direction. So I invest more up front in order to do that. And I hope we can all together see the payoff down the line.
Amen to that. So you seem to me, of course at my age everybody seems young, but you seem young to be an executive chef. So did you train here or elsewhere? Or?
No, I've been in the industry over a decade. I started off as a kitchen assistant dishwasher at Sur La Table, right here in Newport Beach. So shout out to them. It's a very special beginning for me. But I trained for 4 years with Fairmont Hotels and really worked my way up and learned the ropes and just hit the ground running every day. I didn't go to a fancy culinary school, but I just have a passion for the industry and a passion for cooking, and I just went full throttle every single day, and that allowed me to kind of learn and grow. And yes, I have had amazing chefs that have trained me. So spent a lot of time just really learning and growing from those around me, whether I'm just watching, listening, doing, or reading about it, and applying my learnings to my everyday work. Allowed me to climb to where I'm at now.
So in terms of being a green restaurant and a green chef, was there anybody, and you don't need to use names, but was there anybody that struck you as like, oh, that's the path I want to follow, look what he or she is doing in terms of the environment, or others are like, oh, they're great chefs, but I don't want to follow that path, I don't think they're, or was it just something that was always with you?
I would say once I became more advanced in my career and I saw kind of the start to finish of what a restaurant produces, it definitely had it in my mind where I'm like, wow, I'm conscious of, climate change and, the type of waste and things that can be produced. So that definitely started in my mind where I'm like, that's important to me. I need to do my part, especially as a chef, where I'm going to be purchasing things, I'm going to be disposing of things. I need to be responsible. So I would say that's a big part of it. And then as far as a chef goes, Jose Andres for me is an example of a chef that is a humanitarian. He's environmentally conscious of what he does, and he not only is that, but he's able to transform parts of food that you would normally be like, oh, I'm going to throw that away. He would think you're crazy for doing that. So he really challenged the way that I think about how I'm going to use a product from start to finish. A lot of people cut off, for example, the root of the celery that grows, and maybe you'll discard that. Well, that's beautiful for stock.
Okay.
So there's a way to really use the entire product as a whole, and I'm always constantly challenging myself and thinking of how can I use all of this, especially as a restaurant owner. You have to.
Well, I think that's, I look back and think that in watching my mother cook, there were certain portions that you use, and then I found out just recently I cooked the leeks and the radishes. Oh, that was tasty.
Yeah, tasty,
Instead
right?
of just tossing them or something. So,
yeah, same with the beet tops. A lot of people will buy beets from the store and then cut off the tops and throw them away. Those are absolutely fantastic flavored. Saute with a little extra virgin olive oil and garlic. Not to mention, they're one of the healthiest things that you can eat as well.
Well, a cooking tip.
Cooking tip, I'm full of those.
I bet you are. Well,
yeah.
Jessica, thank you.
You're
this has
welcome,
been
Nancy.
really fun to hear about, and you have an advantage. A lot of restaurants have had to create sort of these artificial outdoor seatings. You have just a gorgeous outdoor venue here.
Sweeping
And
view of the garden.
The gardens are looking spectacular. They're all set up for, looks like, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day, and I love Valentine's Day. I'm really excited for where we're at now, but I am just so excited for spring. My menu is going to be new. It's going to be beautiful, colorful, and I just can't wait to share it with everybody.
Well, I'm sure everybody can't wait to share it, to taste it, because it sounds so good, and we'll know it's fresh, and know most of it's locally sourced. And I think that, as I say, we can eat a delicious meal and have a clean conscience.
Absolutely,
So
and I can't wait to cook for you soon.
Well, good. I'll be here. So
Sounds good.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
One of the things that makes Sherman Gardens so special is all of the volunteers that come and help with the maintenance of the ground. This is quite a large garden, as you see, with all its different sections. And right now you can see people are weeding, they're planting new plants, they're helping out in every way. And I think that's one of the things that makes it such a marvel, is its community support for what is really a community treasure. Well, that's our show. And until next time, let's all work on making our village green.